So when you have a horse that's pretty visual like this, one of the first things that you need to think about is the issue of you're going to be standing in a blind spot when you're trying to halter them. So you start working with them right away on turning their eye away from you like that. So that's why my hand's over here. The other thing is I put 2 different kinds of treats in my pockets. And the reason that I did that is I had a good sense that he was going to get bored pretty quickly, because the grain and stuff is fun, but if you're a horse who kind of makes your own fun, it's not going to keep your interest that long. So I've already used, the first treat I opened up with was a peppermint treat, which you saw him bobbing his head like, wow, that was different. It's a taste sensation. And then when he checked out for a second and decided, like, he felt this kind of barrier between the start of you guys and this end of the pen over here. He wasn't interested in crossing the barrier at all. So I was just like, well, let me make it worth your while, and I gave him one of these big horse treats. And these aren't even my lucky treats. These are just whole food treats, so they're just a little bit bigger and a different flavor. So you want to be careful not to underestimate the power of different flavors, because if you use them right, then you can get a lot more out of your horse. If you use them wrong, you'll string your horse out and overstimulate. The other thing is, this is a great big horse, so I need his head down to halter him. And the other thing is, bringing the head down releases endorphins. If you use it too soon, you're going to make your horse feel vulnerable. But if you can use it and alter it with something like this that draws out some play, then there we go. Then it'll help you get the halter on sooner, because they're comfortable putting their head down. So right away with the horse, you have to decide, is the haltering going to be hard for them because they don't want to be restricted, or because they can't see you and you're blocking the view of other things? With a horse like this who walks around wide-eyed with his head up in the air all the time, my first thought would be because he can't see very well while you're doing it. So that's what the doing things on different levels is about. It's just look different spaces. So backing up here, he doesn't want me next to his blind spot. Something that you can do about that is kind of curve back a little bit, let them reach around you. It's going to take him a minute to agree to this. But then you're putting the ball in his court for him getting closer to you. With a horse like this, it's really easy to lose him and drive him away just by asking a little bit too much. So you need a really high rate of reinforcement, and it's just a hard horse, basically. Good. Because you have to balance keeping his interest by moving quickly with not scaring him by making him think the stakes are too high. One thing that is certainly making this horse easier than other horses is he wasn't apt to mug me. He didn't just, reach out and try and take the treats. He's done a really good job of accepting the targeting as being correlated to the treat. See, he doesn't put a whole lot into trying to take the treats from my treat bag, which is good. I've been told that this horse was a really dominant horse. Was that your experience, Barb, when he first came in?
Yeah, he was just terrified. I mean, just horrified. You couldn't even get near him.
But was he dominant?
That was my experience with him. He was just keeping himself safe. He was hyper vigilant and keeping himself safe all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so Barb said that he was hyper vigilant, and that definitely makes sense to me because that's what I see here. I've been told specifically by Mark and Joan that this was a really dominant horse, and I don't see that at all. And you heard me say the other day that about 98% of horses that, of acts that we perceive as being aggressive are actually fear-based.
Yeah.
And it's the same, I think, in people, teenagers particularly. So we changed eyes, and it was a big deal. But I chose to do that ahead of time because I got the sense that I was losing him by being on the other side because he was starting to think it was all about haltering, and it's not.
The other thing with him, I just got the sense from him he really did want something, but couldn't get away from his bigger sense of fear.
Yeah, I agree with that. There you go. So he just made the choice. I was holding the treat right here, and I had a hand right here, and he chose to nuzzle my hand instead of going for the treat, which is pretty interesting. He's not, I mean, he's food motivated for sure, but he's definitely interested in the relationship. There you go again. So he's already putting himself on the edge to try and be more proactive. So the reason he didn't get clicked right there is he took a step back while he was nuzzling me. It was a little bit of like a grab and go kind of thing. And I'm not really interested in the grab and go. I want the longevity. So what I just did there was I changed my tactic. It was target for the treat. Now it's target your face to my hand and then take your treat. So my left hand comes up and I'm putting it in the way so that if he reaches for the treat, he has to touch my hand. So if you get a horse that really understands natural horsemanship well, when you're doing this, like I did this with Misha earlier in the day, when I put my hand up there, I'm going to put my hand on. If the horse tries to leave, I'm going to rub really quickly and then not stop rubbing until the horse makes a move forward towards my hand. With a horse like this, it's the opposite. I keep my hand there for just like a second. I want him to touch his face to my hand, not the other way around. And the reason for that is this isn't a horse that is undermotivated. He's trying as hard as he possibly can. So any pressure that I put on him is just going to be really unfair and cruel. It'd be like, getting mad at a little kid for getting scared on a plane, it wouldn't be fair at all. There. So he just invited me to rub his neck. Horses, when they open up like that, it's never an accident. Like, it kind of looks like they're looking somewhere else. It's not. They might be looking somewhere else, but they know exactly what they're doing and they want to see what happens. So you take advantage of it and you click them. And he was pretty happy with how that went, actually. He's spooking himself a little bit by the sound of the click, so I could try and click a little bit more quietly, but that's just more evidence of exactly how hard he's trying. Like, he's scared of the very thing that's telling him not to be scared, and he keeps coming back. So I liked that. I left my hand on his neck, and he moved through my hand to reach for the treat. So that's another thing you need to think about when you're haltering. It's not just that you're putting the halter on, it's that you have to move the halter while it's touching them. Most people think about just touching them with it. Well, you have to move it while you're